Hey folks, how you doing? I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Welcome to Vinyl Junkies. Today's episode will focus on marijuana and music. Music to set the mood in terms of chilling out. What does that even mean? I guess I'll go into it a little bit and let's see where we go with it. There's going to be a lot to share with you in terms of the happenings of Vinyl Junkies this week. Those of you that have tuned in last week noticed that we tried something and it was pretty awesome. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you for supporting Vinyl Junkies. Thank you for subscribing to the channels. Some of you have noticed, for reasons I will mention, that it makes sense to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So look for Vinyl Junkies on YouTube, and it sometimes it's easier to get content there than it is here. Yes, I will get to our theme eventually, but I figured what it is that I would tell you is we're currently setting up our upcoming schedule. Okay, so I already have some weeks set up in terms of themes, and I thought I'd share them with you because you'd probably dig them. Okay, next week, for obvious reasons, some of you have been asking for a Halloween episode. So yeah, what I will do is most certainly do a Halloween episode next week. It may lead to some programming this week. Again, we'll get to it. I'll talk about it very soon. But the Halloween show will be next week. After that, either the week after or the week after that, you guys are going to really like this. But those of you who are in the Vinyl Junkies group know Mem Steen and know what an amazing record collection he has, especially metal. Well, we're going to be doing a metal show with the one and only VJ Mem Steen, singer of Exhumer and singer of an upcoming new band called Skull Pit. So we're going to be doing that show, he and I, to coincide with the upcoming release of Skull Pit's new record, which is him working with the bassist of Church of Misery. I have no idea what to expect, but I trust Church of Misery and I trust Mem. So Metal Blade will be sending the record, and when I get it, you will hear it, because we have cleared songs, and it'll be the first time on a show like this that we will actually premiere some songs, and I will live spin some stuff without having to worry about people shutting us down like Facebook. So the metal show is coming up soon. Then we have a RSD, Black Friday show. So Black Friday is for those who don't live in the United States or North America. Black Friday is the day after North American Thanksgiving. It's a real clusterfuck for sales, because after everybody's gorged themselves with turkey and football, what they do is they stand in lines, and all of these stores create this big hoopla around two deeply discounted televisions so that they can get a lineup and people can fight over it. So that we have a vinyl version of that, Record Store Day Black Friday, and we'll do a show before that happens. Expect that to happen the Wednesday before. Okay, so in other words, there's Wednesday, then there's American Thanksgiving Thursday. The Friday is when you go out and you buy all your records. I don't know what's coming in. So folks, it may not even be a show, but as far as I know, a bunch of labels are sending us some Record Store Day stuff, and if I have it, I'll play it and I'll talk about it, and I'll try to use the same no bullshit approach that I always use. I'll try. Then we move on. There are a couple of weeks. Okay, we move on. December 2nd, first week of December, we're going to do a VJ gift guide. So stuff that I think you can buy your significant other if they like vinyl. So all you folks who want vinyl or vinyl related stuff for the upcoming family holidays during December, have your wives, husbands, significant others listen to the show, because I will have all sorts of good stuff to talk about. And then in terms of already booked, December 23rd will be the last show of the year. That'll be our Best of 2018 show. Good evening, John. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Stu, I see you. Thanks for tuning in. So December 23rd will be the last show of the year, the best of 2018. We're at the point where we can start talking about the records that we thought were best. Let's have a conversation. I'll try as much as possible to include you guys in the conversation because I don't. VJ is not me. VJ is we. It doesn't work unless you guys are involved. And very frankly, you guys like the information that I give you. You'll notice with this show that, folks, it's what you talk about during the forums that informs the shows. And you'll notice that a huge part of today's show was informed by you. I can't wait to get into it, honestly. I think it's going to be a good show. So yeah, look, I'm going to put up a schedule so you guys can follow along. And I can tell you somewhere in between all of that, we're going to fit in a blues show. Chicago blues show, as a matter of fact, somewhere around, I believe, the first week in November or something like that. But the Chicago blues show is coming with Dennis Fennelly. Believe me, it's going to be deep. It's going to be good, and you're going to want to listen to it. And we are going to fit in another international show with Grant Austin. I almost forgot your name, Grant. Grant Austin, who... dude's going hard for the programming, okay? So we're probably going to get into some Japanese psych and get into some pretty great stuff. The dude knows his shit, and I'm proud to have him as a contributor to the shows. So that's what's coming up. It took me all of 6.5 minutes. So now we can talk about the show. You enjoying the content? Please share it with people that you think would like it. Ultimately, this will not be a show about marijuana. It'll be a show about music, and I just look for a theme to kind of, as a reason to bring music together. Okay, so let me tell you what happened this week, which led me to lead to this. I mean, those of you in North America who haven't been living under a rock know that Canada became only the second country in the world last Wednesday, besides Uruguay, to legalize cannabis across country. So it's a big deal. Now, those of you that think that me smoking this is going to cause me to go on a wild rampage, rob stores, that shit doesn't happen, right? So it's finally being treated like the medicine that it is. And I'm happy for it. I'll tell you why, and we'll get into the music, but I just want you to know kind of like the preamble to the conversations, okay? I've been a medical marijuana patient for years. I'm bipolar, so it helps. Along with regular medication and therapy and that kind of thing, it really does help. But bipolar can really take a fucking beating out of you. It hits you. It's one of those things that you don't know when it's going to happen. It just, at one point, it's like the battery in your engine just dies and you can't move. And you might be stuck in traffic and have a million things to do, but it doesn't matter. You just can't. I can't describe it any better than that. And along with it comes panic attacks. So I'm not saying this to feel sorry, because look, we all have our thing, all of us. Okay, but those are my challenges. And what winds up happening is that stuff catches up to me. Okay, and bipolar means you're either up there, and you guys have seen me excited, or all the way down where I can't function at all. So what I found after I was prescribed, I mean, I've been a pot smoker my whole life, but what I've found is that this here evens that out. One thing that it does, which used to contribute directly to my moods going as crazy as they did, was anxiety. And this kind of somehow, instead of pushing the anxiety either to the manic side or to the depressive side, it kind of just brings everything together and allows me to feel it without completely losing composure. So I have a panic attack every single day. Every fucking day I have a panic attack. What I'm doing here with Vinyl Junkies is something I love, I believe in. I love you guys. I love talking about music. I love playing music for you. Okay? But I'm taking a huge chance. Okay? I just decided that, fuck it, happiness is the most important thing in the world. That is the standard. So I made my life about doing things that make me and others happy, and that's Vinyl Junkies. Monetizing that becomes a difficult thing, so there's a lot of anxiety involved. Will I stop doing it, guys? Not till the fucking wheels come off. Trust me, I don't die. I don't die and I don't stop. I don't go away. This will be big. If you guys see that Vinyl Junkies is getting special, I promise there are bigger things ahead. I'm not making it up. Okay? Follow along, but those of you who have been following along for a while, I'm happy. I know who you are that started right from the beginning, and I'm going to take this somewhere. I promise I will. But you see, what happens is that when you're creating a road ahead, like that, you're digging trenches, you don't know where it's headed, a lot of anxiety comes in. Stuff like marijuana kind of just eases all of that out. Now, that's kind of the background to Vinyl Junkies. Something else happened that kind of goes into all of that, right? Wednesday, as I was mentioning, Canada legalized marijuana across the country. The world didn't explode, surprisingly, but I had a barbecue at a friend's house yesterday, so got asked all of the questions, and you know what? I'm bored about all that part. I want to talk about music now. Anthrax is in the house. Yeah, he's chilled out. I try to kind of get Anthrax in the picture because I'll tell you the truth, man. I love having that cat here. I love spinning tunes for pretty much anybody, including animals. So, excuse me. Whenever the cat decides to hang out, it's such an honor. And they always do whatever the fuck they want. So, something happened this week. I try as much as possible to communicate with you, okay? I'll tell you why. It's not just about building a business. I talk about happiness. Happiness for me, my whole life has been music. Okay? Where humanity has disappointed me, music always took me through. Angry music gave me a safe space. Sad music gave me an even safer space. Scared music, ditto. Okay? So where it is that I could not, and I'm sure this is the case with all of us, where it is that I could not emote or express in a more healthy way, music kind of like makes that pathway, right? Why am I saying all this? I don't know, but somehow it will all work. It's the fabric, right? And what winds up happening, yeah, I know where I'm going with this. What winds up happening is that as you grow up and you disconnect, you disconnect with humanity up to a certain point because you see too much of somebody, you just start realizing their shit. And music kind of allows us to move away from all of that. Music allows us to come together with a mutual passion. So we're able to put everything else aside. It's the best side of humanity. I really think that. I realized that early on, and it kept me alive. And it made me come to a show like this where, and basically decide I have to do this for the rest of my life. This is the only thing I can do. So I'm always looking forward to trying to make the show something special for you. And that means taking a lot of chances, hence the anxiety. So it was with those chances that we did something last week, all of us together. I just decided, you know what, I gotta try this. I have to try just playing some music and testing things out, right? So what I did was, rather than put it on the regular Vinyl Junkies page, so the YouTube page, for example, and the Vinyl Junkies page for everyone to see, I posted only in our group, but I went live with no particular agenda other than to play some music and talk about it and see if I can develop ideas and see if I can engage you guys. And something special happened. The response you guys gave me was outrageous. I never expected it. And I'll tell you the truth. I don't know what we tapped into, but we tapped into something, okay? Because the show, playing the music and being able to comment through it and being in a room together where we're all talking made it so that each of the people in there were keenly interested. And we were having that conversation about music that I just crave all the time, but we were doing it live. And the fact that the music was there made it so that we had a virtual living room. We were all hanging out in the same space, and you were able to listen to the same things. And there's something weird that happens to me when music is on. You know how we played the game where it's just a blind pick? I'm pretty sure I'll do it again, but I pretty much know almost every record in here. So blind picking became a very, very easy thing for me to do. And when I pull out a record, it triggers something, and all of a sudden there's a memory, and that memory can be expounded upon. And we create a story about it. And the minute it turns out a show like this, even if you just participated by watching, you're creating a story around your record collection. That's the point, guys. That is the point. Okay? I'll keep saying it until the day I die, but the reason vinyl is working right now is because it exists in direct contrast with the way the world works, which is fast, immediate, no waiting. There is no time to digest. So vinyl slows us down. It becomes the qualitative experience. So it's something I thought about a lot, and I thought, you know what? Okay, I'm going to get thrown off by Facebook most probably, but I'm not trying to market this or anything. I'm really just trying to share tunes. And I generally listen to music. I just listen to music, okay, and chill out. I smoke a joint. Canada legalized marijuana. Can you believe it? It took 16 minutes, but I'm finally getting right back to it. That's the story. Canada legalized marijuana. All right, why not do a show around it? The fact is, I don't even know what marijuana music is. I don't. But thought about it a little, and I spun some records for you. And I did that for the first time on Monday. And at one point, there were 20 of us in the room watching together. Everyone enthusiastically responding. What are you playing? What label? And all of you wanted to know, and so many of you straight up said, I just bought that record right now because of what you just listened to. And that was fucking magic for me. It was magic, you see. Because, yeah, from a business idea, ding, ding, I know that. I've known that all along. People that buy vinyl want to be sold. That's not the point, though. The point is that we hit the purest fucking form of what this vinyl is all about. We communicated and we added an extra level to just listening to the record. We created a memory together, my friends. And you're not going to do that with a stream. You're just not. So even if you don't have the records that I talked about, you might go out and seek them. And a whole lot of you did exactly that. And you bought a bunch of the stuff. And it was amazing. So and we got shut down. Got shut down after about an hour. Okay? But something weird happened, man. You guys, that was amazing. I got like a fucking avalanche of private mail. Awesome. You know, it still catches me by surprise. So the next day, I get a message. Hey, dude, can you do that again? What? I wasn't even talking half the time. But I started getting people asking for this, and of course, I mean, I'm overjoyed by this. I'm a record nerd, man. I'm a record nerd. Okay? Social fucking outcast. I'd rather be down here with all of this, talking to you guys, talking to that camera right there, you guys, than most anything. This is what I love. So, okay. So Wednesday comes around and I do it again. By the time this whole thing goes, okay, 1,100 of you, 1,200 of you watched that first thing, and that's only in the group. And you watched it till the end. So I was like insane, right? So I try it again on Wednesday, and the same thing happens. A ton of comments. A ton of people asking for more. A ton of people really reacting with the music. And that's the part that matters. That's the fucking part that matters. You guys connected with this stuff that you never heard before. Okay? And that was magic for me, man. You gave so many of my records a story. So what's happening now is totally reciprocal. I'm giving you stories for your records, but you're giving me stories for mine. This fucking archive is it's becoming with every show a living, breathing embodiment of this thing we have. Um, that's awesome. That's a way to connect through art. Um, and if that's what I do for the rest of my life, then I'm happy. I mean, that's what I want. So we did it again on Wednesday, and again, 1,000 people watched it. This time we get cut off after 40 minutes. Ironically, I played some Herbie Man Push Push, and I played some some Porno Sonic, this thing, and the Ron Jeremy didn't get me kicked off, but Herbie Man did. Very funny, very fun. I'm telling a terrible story. I shouldn't even be telling it. So then I tried it again on Friday, and on Friday we got shut down even faster. So, this amazing thing that I'm trying to develop for you is something I'm not sure can continue. As a matter of fact, I may get banned for doing it. I'm not trying to, man. I'm just trying to share this music with you. I'm just trying to share my passion with you, and I'm trying to hear from you, and together we make a show. We get together. It's fucking awesome. It's better than TV. If you love music. So I'm not sure where it's going to go. The fact is that I don't know when the shows get turned off. I don't know what song triggers it, and I can try getting more obscure with the music so that I don't trigger, but I don't know. And the programming, if you see that I'm gone for a certain period of time, you'll know why. I got thrown out of Facebook. But it worked, so I'm going to keep doing it anyway. And they're going to pull the plug whenever they pull the plug. And if it happens after 5 minutes, then it's 5 minutes. And if it happens after an hour, then awesome. We don't know. But that, to me, friends, is the living embodiment of fucking guerrilla radio, baby. That is guerrilla radio. Take me down. I ain't doing anything wrong. I'm sharing music. The rules, the laws, the publishing is archaic. Get it together so that we can all help these artists make money. Because if I'm playing the record and it causes 2 people to go out and buy the record, and I play 5 records, even if it's only 10 records, we just helped everybody involved. Get the fucking rules in order. The audience is there. They want to hear it, don't you? I mean, you want to hear me talk about music. You know, I love this stuff. We'll get on to the music. Sorry, Cottonmouth. The refrigerator door will stay open for the remainder of this show, ladies and gentlemen. Something always goes wrong. So, anyway, that was how we got to this point where we were doing this show. Okay, this music. What are we going to talk about? What is this marijuana music? Fact is, I don't know what marijuana music is. I don't. I smoke regularly and I listen to whatever. Okay, but if I had to think about that, okay, well, first of all, obviously, you don't need to smoke anything in order to try to understand a vibe. Okay, I've never dropped acid in my life, and I suspect I never will. But I think I have an idea of, you know, I have a theme that I could work on. That theme doesn't stop you from exploring certain musics, right? So if I had to look at those themes, one of the things that usually goes is I don't go with lyrics. I generally like instrumental because I kind of just, like laying back and listening and kind of getting absorbed into it. And sometimes I don't like things to be spelled out for me. So lyrics sometimes tell the story. And if it's a good story, fine. But I kind of prefer creating my own stories with my mind, It personalizes the experience. So I generally go for instrumental. I generally go for long songs as well. Again, because they stretch out. It's not something that just happens, hit it and quit it, right? It allows you time to just kind of like sit and maybe just can feel the molecules in the air, and breathe, slow down. So long instrumental, and anything. I tend to go for sorry. I'm sorry. I guess I'm coming down with something. I tend to go for exotic instrumentation. Um, Something that evokes an image to me. So, for example, Arabic music, something that I'm very drawn to because there's an imagery that it creates. Even if you don't smoke marijuana, you kind of get the image of the kind of like the smoke-filled opium dam. You know, so there's that thing. And it's usually not dance related. It's mostly for me kind of like sit and chill related in terms of vibe. So up tempo, sure, but I generally go more for the down tempo. So now we get to the records. I've brought this down to a few sections, and I've tried as much as possible before time went to put them in genres. Heavy metal will be represented. Funk, soul, R&B will be represented. International music, reggae, and I'm sure I missed another one, but we will get through a whole lot of records, all right? Are you enjoying the show so far? Am I going on too long when it comes to this stuff? Anyway, okay, so let's see if we get this whole thing started. As I was saying, mostly instrumental. The obvious pick on the Funkadelic record would have been Maggot Brain. But I made a playlist for you guys, a mixtape, and what I did was picked the first song off of this, which is called, what is it? Oh yeah, okay, there you go, Maggot Brain. Maggot Brain, can you get to that? And it's druggy. It fits all of those elements. There's a certain part at the beginning of the song which is kind of drenched in reverb. Reverb becomes a big thing also in the music that I like to listen to while high. But, drenched in reverb, this George Clinton talking about, Earth is pregnant for the third time and creating kind of like this outer worldly thing. And you kind of know that all of those artists there are high. So that would be one of the first things, and I would say Funkadelic fits a lot of those elements that I look for. I like the long and the drawn out. As Funkadelic moved on throughout their career, they embraced disco and hip hop and all sorts of things. But in the culture of drug music, yeah, without a doubt, Funkadelic and Eddie Hazel has to be mentioned, has to be considered in the pantheon, which takes me to more funk. You see this record here? I played this, and we did this little thing live, right? What I did was I played Sex Machine on this, which is the second to last song. It's sandwiched. It's like a 13-14 minute funk jam, instrumental funk jam, sandwiched between two big hits. Okay, Everyday People starts side 2, and You Can Make It If You Try is the end. But right in the middle of side 2 is just this 13 minutes and 46 seconds or something funk jam. And I played this thing, and I know Sly and the Family Stone's pretty popular, but this is amazing. What is it? Folks, don't be surprised if you actually have this in your collection. It's just not the songs that you play, but it's one of those tracks that, I don't know. To me, it's funny because that's the track that attracted me most about Sly and the Family Stone. Out of all, and I have pretty much all of his discography, out of all of those songs, that's the one that I like most because they're just kind of bearing down and going with the mood. And you can practically see the smoke. And you hear Larry Graham just keep the same fucking beat the whole time. Boom, 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 and everything fucking revolves around that. And ends with this drum solo. It's fast and just gets slower and slower and slower and slower till you're listening to it at the end, and it's like when's he gonna hit that drum the last time? You're kind of waiting for it, and then it stops, and you just hear the we blew your mind out. You know those guys were high as fuck when they made that. It is the fucking jam of all jams for me. So Sly and the Family Stone fits that criteria all the time, and the Spotify playlist will definitely have these songs on it. Okay? So the R&B funk side of things definitely comes out there. Continue. I want to get into some Rusty Bryant and then go into the hip hop. And the reason it is that I point to something like Rusty Bryant is because this is stuff that's being put out by a label that's actually marketing towards that whole stoner groove. They're called Jazz Dispensary. They haven't released a whole lot of records. You'll notice I keep stickers, but you know, this is what the hype sticker looks like. And they put out some jazz records that fit that theme. So I played this here for you, which is one of their first records that they put out, Fire Eater, Rusty Bryant. And this is a record that was never reissued on vinyl for 40 years. It finally came out last year. And you guys went mental over this one. You went completely mental over it. And that made me really happy because it's like, wow, you know, you don't know what people are going to respond to, but you responded to this one, and it told me, it's like, okay, maybe they got this thing, this Jazz Dispensary. They released a compilation last Record Store Day, which is a compilation of, again, jazz funk music, you know, that's supposed to fit that vibe. They're doing another one this year, so look for one, I think, called Purple Kush. I forgot what it's called, but Jazz Dispensary kind of does that, and, you know, it fits that jazz funk vibe. It tends to be more up-tempo, should be said. It is more of an up-tempo thing where I prefer the down-tempo stuff. I mean, you know, obviously I don't look like I dance very well, but I prefer sitting down and chilling when I'm smoking a joint and not fucking dancing. So, I guess it's going to take me into the hip-hop, because hip-hop is what informed a lot of my jazz collection. Hip hop was very, very much the glue, the segue into jazz for me. And whenever I think about drug music, it's when I was in college that I really started smoking pot. So there were albums that got played all the time. And it's funny because if I look at those albums, we're talking the 90s, some of the stuff that you would think is so obvious, right? Like Cypress Hill and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. You know, those aren't the records I generally play. I like those records, but it's almost, I feel like they're almost treating that whole marijuana theme as some kind of fun marketing scheme. Because I don't know. Maybe I'm just babbling, which is fine. But I tend to go for more the mellow stuff. Couch music. So it takes me to bands like Diggable Planets, which I originally got into because I've always liked hip-hop. My burgeoning interest in jazz, which was very much being fed by hip-hop. So Diggable Planets was one of those bands, right? And they got me looking into stuff like Donald Byrd and a whole lot of other things, right? But basically, I realized that this hip-hop was not the type of hip-hop that I was listening to up to that point, okay? It wasn't gangster rap. It wasn't hard. It was decidedly far more mellow than most of the stuff that I was listening to. And it had different types of instruments. So, yeah, of course, the drum breaks were everywhere for everything. But all of a sudden, I started hearing trumpet loops, and I started hearing piano, and I started hearing saxophone, and it's like, that's what caught me. And this is pretty much very possibly my favorite hip hop record. New York is Red Hot is just the bomb. Pacific's, yeah. So, and if I go along those lines, again, we can go into jazz here, and it's easy for me to do that, but ultimately, I have a much better jazz collection than I have a hip hop collection by far. But the hip hop is what informed the jazz. See, because in the 90s, this was coming out, right? A Tribe Called Quest was coming out. And I loved this. Again, for a lot of the same reasons that I loved Diggable Planets. The jazz elements, I loved it. So what it is that I would do is I would track down, this is almost pre-internet, but it was internet by this time, but I would track down the samples. I would track down whoever it is that they mentioned, and that's the way I built a lot of my 70s jazz funk collection. And I mean, this was the one that came up all the time. I'd go to the record stores and ask, please, just, I love this kind of music. Can you suggest stuff to me? And Freddie Hubbard kept coming up, Red Clay. So Red Clay is been sampled on this song here, on this album here, the song Suck a Nigga. That's the sample off of this, you see. But I heard it here first. I heard it on the Tribe Called Quest record before I heard it on this. Eventually got into Freddie Hubbard and pretty much buy everything from him. So if you're looking for an incredibly classic kind of like laid back track, those who know it'll say, yeah, you picked well. And those who don't, I can't possibly suggest Freddie Hubbard, Red Clay to you more. How am I doing? Yeah. Okay. There are artists I adore, because they're just one of a kind. They're a unique force, and they're the only ones. They live in their own world. I have a tremendous amount of respect for any artist who lives in their own world by their rules, and you're in or you're not kind of thing, And I think of somebody like Cher, who's been battered in her life by tabloids and a whole lot of things, and ultimately, fuck everyone. She's awesome. And there's a whole bunch of other people like that. Keith Richards has that myth about him. But Badu fits that for me. She is a unicorn in music, and she connected Dilla, and she connected Common, and she connected a lot of the hip-hop that extracted this jazz vibe that I liked so much. So I pretty much buy 1000% of her records. Everything. Now, this was originally marketed as an EP, and it's 60 minutes long. So 60-minute EP, and it was priced as an EP. I bought this, it cost me $10.99. And I used to tell people, get it, get it, get it, because this wasn't ever seen as an Erykah Badu record. It's worldwide underground. It's got some jams that are unbelievable, and the one that I chose for the mixtape that's available on Spotify is a song called Back in the Day. It's a song about smoking pot. That's what the song is about, and it's just catchy as fuck. Play it, you'll see what I mean. I wish I could play it right now. That's where it is that I wish, once all of that comes together, I'll be able to play you a track, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And we'd be able to sell a bunch of these. Why? Because it's worth it. Now, is it easy to get this one? I'm not sure. I don't think it's been reissued in a while. So what I thought I would do is point to something that does still fit the kind of like marijuana vibe and all, but is available now. This one was originally available a couple of years ago as a Record Store Day release, and I've mentioned it a bunch of times. And Vinyl Me Please eventually put out a reissue, I don't know, less than a year ago. Okay, and this is available to non-members also. And it's not considered a quote-unquote album, but it is so chilled out. It's just completely amazing. As a matter of fact, I got a story to this one. This Drake guy. Look, I don't know Drake. He gives me douche chills, but I don't know him. That's not fair, right? So I never listened to him. I don't know anything. And I listened to this, and there's a song. This album is all about telephones. The whole fucking thing revolves around the telephone theme. So there's one song, right? It's just, you used to call me on the phone, cell phone. I know when I hotline bling. That don't even mean a thing. And it's just got this kind of fucking smoothed out vibe. And I'm digging it hard. Eventually, I don't remember how it came along, but somebody told me, or I made the connection. That's a Drake song. That's a Drake song. Now, I only knew Badu's version. It's like, okay, well, I gotta hear what the original sounds like. If Badu's fucking with it, it's gotta be good. And was thoroughly disappointed. I'm not saying that the music sucks. I'm just saying that Drake is not for me, and he still gives me douche chills. But Erykah Badu does something incredible with that Drake super hit on this, and this record fucking rocks. And frankly, I'm completely astounded that Vinyl Me Please hasn't sold out of it, because I just figured it would sell out. Anyway, it's available. Another record that I played for you guys, again, it's not like I went in with any idea, but something happened during those sessions that we did together. The records that we played, you guys told me which records struck a chord with you and which didn't. The conversation dictated what came next, what you liked, and one that all of you seemed to agree with was this Gabor Szabo. If you remember, those of you that listened to the show, I played the sitar version of, what song is it that we listened to? Painted Black, Rolling Stones' Painted Black. And I started off with that. That's the first song on the second side. Okay, and yes, what you see there is Impulse. So it's got that beautiful orange and black label that I covet so much. Okay, and I figured I'd hook you in by playing you Painted Black, because it's like Rolling Stones fans will see it and, hear it and recognize it. And, Gabor Szabo, I have the rule of Gabor Szabo when it comes to collecting records, or when it comes to shopping for records. The rule of Gabor Szabo is simple. There's only one rule. If it's Gabor Szabo and I don't have it, I buy it immediately. I leave nothing behind. I have yet to be disappointed. So this here, I picked up in Detroit. I have, this is pretty easy to find because Light in the Attic did reissue it. I don't know if they still have it in their stock, but they did reissue a copy of this record here. So you can find a good reissue. Light in the Attic does the reissues very well, but I found an original which I couldn't pass up, so I got it, and that's exactly what happened. Gabor Szabo doing Painted Black hooked you in, but then what was fun about the format is that I just let the rest of the record play. So it's kind of like, okay, the Rolling Stones is kind of what brought it together. Okay, this is interesting. The stuff that's a little bit left of center was the sitar. But the fact is that Gabor Szabo is a guitar player, and it's just he has the spirit of the gypsy in him. His music is unreal. And I wanted to play beyond Painted Black so that you can kind of hear that vibe, that sound, that Gabor Szabo guitar sound, and understand why I think he's such a big deal. And you did. So that's what I was playing for you guys last time, Gabor Szabo. If I move on to the jazz thing, remember what it is that I was saying about marijuana music. Stupid term, but marijuana music being able to kind of like induce a trance. There's something druggy to the music. Okay, it evokes it. The whole point is not smoking. That's not the point at all. It just evokes a certain feeling, right? When you watch a horror movie and somebody's stuck, I don't know, in a coffin or something, you're not in that coffin, but you kind of feel a little tighter, right? Effective art can do that. It can paint a very vivid picture. So one thing that I always go to, and here's where we get into our world music section. Notice the nice transition that we just did? We went to hip hop, and then we went from kind of like jazz, but now we're segueing into international. Fun, right? Fun. So, Um, Trances. Um, Alice Coltrane, John Coltrane's second wife, eventually left music and, well, basically, look, to get started completely, they were married during the time that John Coltrane was really, really trying to connect spiritually with his music and doing it in a way that sounds like utter noise to a lot of people, but it's extremely powerful. And the reason I didn't go with John Coltrane himself is because some of it, I don't want the stretch to be too much when I have to give you something, okay? But for me, for example, it's just completely transcendental would be Interstellar Space by John Coltrane, which is just Coltrane on the saxophone and Rashid Ali going nuts on the drums, and they just reach another world for me on that. But I wanted to make it a little bit more accessible. So the void, the void that John Coltrane left with his death is one that could never be filled. But the influence, you talk to anybody, you read any book, anybody that worked with John Coltrane was very, very, very profoundly impacted by him. As a matter of fact, the album Om, is a bit of a mess of an album, but I like it anyway because they recorded it in France and basically they dropped acid before recording it. So you want to hear what jazz on acid sounds like. That would be Om. It's an Impulse record. It's a mess, though. But Alice Coltrane took care of John, her deceased husband's estate, and Impulse kept releasing stuff posthumously. So you'll notice a lot of Coltrane releases on Impulse that came out right after he died, in the 70s. And that's because Alice Coltrane was in charge of the estate and she made sure that this music came out. Coltrane recorded as much as he could. He couldn't take the fucking horn out of his mouth. He had something to say and he died too young, and maybe he just knew. It's just, I better put it down. I got to get it down before, while I can. And that's something that I understand. I'm doing this show and I feel like I'm doing something special, but I'm 48 and I don't have enough time. I wish I would have known earlier, but what are you supposed to do? So Alice Coltrane became deeply spiritual, was deeply spiritual, and eventually just opened up a fucking temple, a temple up in California, bought a bunch of land, and they connected spiritually through music and would, much like gospel, choirs and everybody making music, they would make music also, but it would be music that would just entrance, music that would cause you to kind of transcend, to ascend. And this is stuff that was recorded mostly private. Okay, so this is stuff that was recorded within the temple, but it was really made only available to people who attended the temple. So it's not like they were trying to make money on it or anything like that. It's just music for, that milieu. So yes, it was being sold. Now, this stuff was never available. Enter David Byrne, Luakabob, who finds all of it and eventually puts it out, I believe, last year. This here is music that just takes you to a completely different level. This, if I had to talk about, or if I had to kind of just express something that allows me to say this music, there's something that happens when a bunch of human beings get together and their spirits coordinate. They create this magic. And if they do it through music, and it could be a beautiful thing. So it's nice when that's captured. That Alice Coltrane album captures it, and I could not recommend it more highly. Pun intended, I guess. If you're able to handle more noisy stuff, you're looking at master musicians of Jujuka, because all Moroccan music and just Arabic music, there is an element that just entrances. The instruments are different, so it already makes your brain think a little bit differently, and the songs are generally very long and entrancing. the master musicians of Jajuka were introduced to us, to North American ears or to English ears, I guess, through Brian, what's his name, of the Rolling Stones. Brian, what's his name of the Rolling Stones, recorded with them and put out a record with them called Pens. I don't know. I forgot. I don't have it. And Ornette Coleman put out a record also called Dancing in Your Head, which features the master musicians of Jajuka. So again, that goes into the whole world file. So as I was doing the videos, here's one that you guys suggested, and I had it in the fucking thing. I had it in the archive, so I pulled it out, right? I don't remember which one of you was talking, but at some point, I was actually playing this one here. I was playing tracks off this, which is a Now Again release called Those Shocking Shaking Days. Or Shocking Days? Yeah, Shocking Shaking Days. Indonesian hard, psychedelic, progressive rock and funk. 1970 to 1978. So this is a 3 LP set from Now Again that's just a bunch of really weird, smoked out hard rock, just acid rock, I guess, music from Indonesia of all places. And there's so much of it that they fill 3 LPs of it, and it's really quite mind-blowing. You guys went nuts when I played that one, and I completely understand. I mean, I don't know how easy it is to get a copy of this, but I can tell you, go get it immediately if you ever see it. Those Shocking Shaking Days is an absolutely brilliant 3 LP compilation, especially if you like kind of, the weirdo psych. So this kind of fits, and with songs like the Ganja Song and bands called the Rollies, you kind of see where it is that they're going. So as I was spinning some of this stuff, one of you said, hey, you should really check out Brazilian Fuzz Bananas. I was like, wait a second, I have that, because these are exactly the kind of records that I collect, right? So it brings me to another compilation that fits the theme and works perfectly, but this compilation is not from Now Again. This compilation is from Tropicalia and Furs Records, and it's basically a compilation of this druggy psych music that mostly came out during the 60s and 70s. I love that stuff, man, because Brazilian music is just always uniquely Brazilian. They always have that flavor. That's what they bring to it, and it's a very proud people. It's a very proud culture. So when they bring other elements like the fuzz guitar or psychedelic sounds, you get something that's pretty special. And this is a compilation full of this stuff. Okay, it's a 2 LP compilation called Brazilian Guitar Fuzz Bananas. Could not possibly suggest it more if you can find it. Tropicalia in Furs. Okay. Then we're going to the this is stuff that's not easy to find, though, sorry, but Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is again one of those artists that the songs tend to be all 10 minutes plus, even 20 sometimes, and he is a very, very special voice. Qawwali music is very special. And I'm convinced, I don't know the history too much, but I'm convinced that one of the points of this music is just to put you in a complete trance. And if you've ever had a chance to see Nusrat perform live, just on YouTube, I've never seen him perform live either, but you just see him and his musicians just all sitting kind of like cross-legged and doing their thing, and people are just completely entranced, and they just go forward and fucking throw money at him. You just see a bunch of lineups of people that just go to the stage so that they can shower Nusrat with money. It is mind-blowing. It is fucking mind-blowing. It might not be something that'll go easy on ears that are just used to rock and roll, because it's definitely ethnic, but can't get better. You like heavy guitars? You like heavy guitars. You like weird sounds? He's been called the Jimi Hendrix of Turkey from the 70s. If you can get your hands on some Erkant Koray, you want that. Very, very fuzzy Turkish guitar with deliciousness. There's a track of this also on the hit. Almost done. We're getting there. I played you some Flower Traveling Band, which will take us into the metal. The reason it is that I put this right before the metal is because a lot of people that are into proto metal or a lot of people that are into stoner rock or doom rock, this is one place that they wind up going. This record's almost impossible to find originals of. There are only Japanese and Canadian copies of this. Japanese for obvious reasons. This was released in '71. Canadian because they actually recorded part of this album in Canada. So very difficult to find an original. This is by, some kind of bootleg or just cheap thing from this here Phoenix Records, but better than nothing. But yeah, you want that. You want that. And if there's any record I really covet a very good copy, a very good official reissue of, that would be it. I guess we'll go metal. Obvious, right? This is the Alpha and the Omega. This is where it all starts. Sweet Leaf. That cough is, I don't care how obvious it is. Sweet Leaf is Sweet Leaf, and Black Sabbath is Black Sabbath, and they deserve to have a church erected around them, and they have had a church erected around them. It's called the band Sleep. Sleep exists in worship of the Riff, in worship at the altar of Iomi. That's what it's about. And when we're talking about marijuana music, most people will point you towards Dope Smoker. And because it's a 60-plus minute song called Dope Smoker. But frankly, I like their new record better. The Sciences is fucking awesome. It's catchier, man. Their single, the first single there, what the hell is it called? Yeah, I guess it's Marijuana's Theme. Crazy. Anyway, album of the year contender, there's no doubt about it. That would fit. If you want to go a little bit more old school, and this is something that I will put on the Spotify mixtape, but it'll probably turn off people unless you're a metalhead. But here, Gateway, Bongzilla. This was one of the early iterations of bands who started using weed themes in their names. So you see that all over the place now, and Bongzilla was one of those early ones. Like Weed Eater was another one of those early ones, but there's been a million since, and for some reason I can't come up with any of the names. Wheat Pecker, there's more, Dope Throne, whatever. Okay. This is the one that the entire world will tell you should have, and they are right. You can probably see Pike's autograph on it, but Dope Smoker. This is Dope Smoker. And it's wonderful. We're getting to the end, folks. It was around 60 minutes. Oh, this is the last one. So, as I was putting this together, I'm not sure why. Because it's not like they reference music directly in any way, shape, or form. But this album started playing through my head. Okay. First of all, there's the opening riff, which and then there's Tribal Convictions, which is a song I used to play so often when I was DJs. Just and it's like that was that entire riff, that entire feeling was Doom before Doom ever existed. So it's not like I purposely put it there or trying to, impress you with something that's a little different. But yeah, Voivod wound up inside. So look, Stu just sent me a message. I want to see what it says. Show suggestion features on record labels. Record labels feature your album picks from the labels you love. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Fact is, when it comes to programming like this, look, guys, I'm making it up as I go along. I'm trying a bunch of things. So Monday, for example, tune in. Okay? I'm going to do one of those live spin sessions. I have no idea what I'm going to come up with, but I like being informed by you. I like communicating with you. I like the fact that we put our shows together. This mixtape was a result of us together. The Brazilian Fuzz Bananas song that you're going to see on the Spotify mixtape, that wasn't chosen by me. I think we're onto something. I think we're really capturing the essence of what this vinyl is and why it's not just a product. It's an experience. Okay? People who listen to music this way, or people that will listen to a program this way, crave a connection. I mean, I do at least. I'm speaking from my personal experience, and I would assume from a lot of the comments that you guys have made, it's the same for you guys. So check it, man. The show's done. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna spin some records for you tomorrow, okay? And we're gonna get shut down when we get shut down. So, for those of you that don't know what it is, join the Facebook group. I think I'm gonna try doing it on YouTube as well. Join the YouTube channel. Look for Vinyl Junkies on YouTube, and I will spin some records, and we're gonna have a big old fucking spin session talk, and those spin sessions will inform the Halloween show. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. For those of you out in Europe and other places, enjoy your week and keep spinning, man. Thanks for paying attention.